Assalamu alaikum. Suleiman Rahim here. Welcome. Critical Analytics. War Talk. War Talk, brothers and sisters. War Talk. Today our topic, Gog and Magog, the mighty Gog and Magog, the history of Gog and Magog. We find Gog and Magog mentioned in the 20th chapter of Revelations. There's much mystery about Gog and Magog, you see, at least in the general public, right? All kinds of interpretations, conjectures about who Gog and Magog is. But if you understand the history of Europe, there's no confusion, because you would understand that chapter 20 of the Revelations is the history of Europe. But they don't want you to know that, because that would unveil them and destroy the deception that they will impose upon the world. It says Gog and Magog, they would deceive the entire world. They would have you think that chapter 20, the so-called millennia, is yet future. No, it's not future. It's past history leading up to now. And if you know anything about European history, you could map it in perfectly. But then deception would not work anymore. So we're going to go over briefly of what chapter 20 is telling you. Okay. It says, right, that Satan and the devil and so forth was thrown into the abyss for 1,000 years. And they was locked up, they was chained down, right, by this people that was resurrected, and they would hold them down for 1,000 years. I'm paraphrasing, of course. So what does it have to do with European history? Well, we know that there was a so-called Dark Ages or medieval period that went on for 1,000 years in Europe. It only affected Europe. No other nation went through a Dark Ages, only Europe did. See? Some people think, oh, that was the whole world. It was only Europe. But at the time, they was chained, they was thrown in and chained, right, by this resurrected group. Well, if we study history, at the time, the beginning of the Dark Ages, right, that was also the simultaneous rise of Prophet Muhammad's empire, so-called Islamic empire. See? And so you had these two competing forces, but the Islamic empire, or Prophet Muhammad's empire, kept the Satan and the dragon, Satan and the devil, all kept them bottled up for 1,000 years. So you had two forces there. One kept the other one down or bottled up, locked up into a bottomless pit or abyss for 1,000 years. We know that happened because we go back right at the time that the so-called medieval period started. 1,000. They're trying to change now to 950, whatever. Anyway, that period started. That was the simultaneous rise of Prophet Muhammad's empire, called the Islamic Empire. And there was contention between the two, and the Islamic Empire kept them bottled up in Europe for 1,000 years. There was constant conflict with each other, but the Islamic Empire prevailed for 1,000 years. And then after 1,000 years, Satan and the devil and all of them would be released out of the abyss. They would break out. And they would go out and cover the whole world. Now, the Europeans didn't realize there was a whole world until they came out of the bottomless pit. See? About 500 years ago. There's no coincidence here. This is exactly the history. And they went out and covered the whole world, deceiving the whole world. One of the deceptions is the fact about chapter 20, that refers to them. That's very clear. If you study European history, that is exactly what happened. And at the same time, that was decline of Prophet Muhammad's empire, because they would only be empowered for 1,000 years to keep Gog and Magog locked up. And Gog and Magog represents America and Britain. That coincides with the story of Adam and Eve, where Adam was put to sleep. Adam was made from the Adam was made from the dusty earth, which represents the European country, because Britain is not a European country. It's an islands called the British Isles, because the islands off of Europe, but Europe is considered the earth. And it says Adam was made from the dusty earth. In other words, all the riffraff and the prisoners and the exiles and immigrants from Europe came to Britain, and that's what it means. Adam was made from the dusty earth, and then he was put to sleep for 1,000 years, and out of his side or rib came Eve. That's America. America came out of Britain, because America was a British colony, and then the court was broken. That was a Revolutionary War. The truth is there, brothers and sisters. Like I say, light switches are everywhere. And they even got a little audio to them. Light switch. All you gotta do is turn on and lights come on. But you don't want to do that, because you're afraid. You're so afraid of the dark, you're afraid to open your eyes. Even the light come on, you're still afraid to open your eyes. You don't realize the lights are on now. So that's what that's talking about. And so they would go out and deceive the whole world. And then it says at the end, they would gather around the holy city, meaning the Middle East, the people that locked them up to begin with. And they bring fire to heaven in sight of men. That's those hellfire missiles that the drones those drones all over the Middle East, coming from America and Britain, right? They're firing hellfire missiles down on people daily. The skies are darker with those drones. And said, then the end will come. And that's what's happening now, because they're over there now, and it says that's where the end will come, over there. That's beginning of their end. When mean end they're coming, it means they slip they slip, and then all of a sudden, cascade, avalanche to destruction. That's European history. Gog and Magog. Magog is the mother of Gog. That's Britain, the mother of America. That's what Gog and Magog are. They're the two-horned ram that you see in Daniel, that will ultimately be destroyed by the goat. They're all over the place, but they won't see it that way. They won't talk about Alexander the Great, all this kind of crazy stuff. No, that's not future. The millennium has passed. Now we live in a time of Satan. See, he would have 500 years to be loose. They're trying to, these crazy people, they talk this crazy stuff, because first of all, they just can't bring themselves to see that that's talking about them. So when they burst out of Europe, they had been in hell for 1,000 years. Been in abject hell for 1,000 years because they're shit makers. They don't produce gold, they produce shit. That's talking about Dr. Yaqub. See? Dr. Yaqub made them, but they're at war without creation. They turn this creation to shit, because they didn't make this creation. They didn't make this world, this biological world that we live in. So they're at odds with it. And everywhere they go, they make shit. You look at all the so-called European empires, and they tell you it was so great, right? The Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, so forth and so on. They was all ship makers. They didn't produce anything. Their whole economy, right, was based on invading other people and taking their stuff. Roman Empire, or the glorious Roman Empire, they wasn't known for doing things. In fact, they took all their so-called technology, they took it from Greece, and Greece stole it from Egypt. But the whole economy, the whole so-called civilization were built on conquest, taken from other people. until the people got tired and took it back from them, the Van Goghs and so forth, right? The Goths and whatever you call it, right? See, they eventually got the pressure, got tired, and eventually went back and took it back. And that was the end of the Roman Empire. See, they're ship makers. They take from everyone else. They're parasites. That's where they was made. They was not made. They was made to make missionaries shed blood, right? That means just take from other people, because they can't produce themselves. They're ship makers. That's the history of Europe. That's Gog and Magog. And they're very confused. They're analytical. Nothing wrong, particularly with analytical mind when it's subdued and was controlled by the spatial mind, which has been for trillions of years. Now it's unbound in them. But this is a spatial reality we live in. That's why they have so much trouble with the environment and everything, because they apply the analytical ideas and it's like pickup sticks. They pull the wrong one, everything collapses. Because they're out of tune, out of sync with this biological universe, our universe, that we gave form to. You look out there, you see form, we gave a form. Now you see a form they've given to their short period of existence, the last 500 years, shows so-called technology and everything. Well, they got that from us also, but the form they gave it, right, that's them. The root of technology they got from us. That's the whole story of Joseph. See, you put these things together, brothers and sisters. The story of Joseph, the same story Elijah Muhammad told us. It says, we were born here in 1555. It took 64 years, was kept secret to convert us to slaves. That's the story of Joseph. Because during that period of time, remember, when they came from Europe, they didn't know how to farm. They didn't know how to do anything. When they was in Europe, they had turned it into a shithole. There was a 1,000-year-old shithole they was bursting out from. They had disease, bubonic plague, the black plague, right? Rats and roaches run all over the place. They didn't take baths. I don't know if you heard of awning, those things, the little things that come out over stores, over the sidewalk, like to protect you from the rain and whatever. Well, they invented that there because when they didn't have indoor plumbing and stuff like that, they had their pots, and they'd do their business in their pot. They'd throw it out the window. And if you had to be walking along, then you got a bath. You got the Holy Ghost. Unless you happen to be on the awning. That's the nature of what was going up in your tyranny, oppression. See, they was evil to themselves. See, we're like what do they call it? Our being here, right? It's like, a person, they get mad, they go out and start punching the punching bag to keep beating their wife. Well, we became their punching bags. How they start treating each other better, because they had us to beat on, because they're psychopaths. See? So if they got someone else to beat on, they stop beating others. And if we leave, they start beating each other up again. You don't understand these things, brothers and sisters, and they're going to make sure you never understand them. But they were starving up there. See? Incest, fornication. It was a hell house. That's why they had a lot of customs you see they have. That was based on because the confusion they had up there. See, the aristocrats, they preyed on the what do you call them, I forget what they call it. Anyway, the lower class, the serfs, had no sense of justice, none whatsoever. I give you a point. In other words, if you stole something, right, then they'd take and put your hand in a hot water. You gotta stick your hand in it. See? And if your hand came out, right, and it was all blistered and all that kind of stuff, it means you stole. you must have stole. See? And if it didn't, right, you must be a witch. So it was a lose-lose situation. And they talking about women, they oppressed women, like every woman that opened her mouth was a witch. That means she got burned at the stake. It was terrible. And they looked over, when they was able to look over in Africa, that was the most beautiful continent on the planet. The people weren't starving. They was in peace over there. The climate was great. People were healthy. You don't go and buy sick and feeble slaves. You want a healthy one. You want to buy a horse or a mule, you want a healthy one. You want a sick, weak one. And they wanted that. They knew about that. They didn't know about the Americas yet. But they wanted that. Because they could not, you say they're a superior race, right? Well, how come they was living in squalor and tyranny and filth and disease for 1,000 years? They couldn't get their way out of it. See? Yet everybody else was doing fine until they broke loose and they showed up, the ship makers, and they was turning everything everyone else had into shit and leaving in the shit, and they was taking the gold. See? Because we gold makers, we turn shit into gold. They turn gold into shit. They're the opposite, unlike a track. That's their nature. And that's why they refer to a swine. See? In the Quran and in the Bible. See? That's their nature. So when they burst out, all they saw was gold everywhere they went. You read those stories, they was in search for gold. Search for gold. Why were they in search for gold? If they had gold, why were they in search for it? Because for them, gold was how they could, buy things. This is a kind of stupid concept, but they were searching for gold all over the place. Searching for wealth, because they didn't have any. They were starving. The Irish were starving. They had famines, potato famines, potato blights. They couldn't grow anything. They didn't know how to grow things. They didn't know how to. They didn't know how to manage things. They didn't know how to govern. They didn't know how to do anything. That's the story of Joseph. See? So when they got over here, they was about to turn this into a shithole. Then Native Americans told them how to farm, how to do certain things, right? Until they realized what their fate was going to be with these people. Then they pulled back. See? And then they looked over there and started bringing us over here. See? We was betrayed by our brothers, the Arabs. That's the story of Joseph. And so he was brought here, and Joseph was thrown into prison. And we was thrown into prison according to Elijah Muhammad for 64 years. They put our people in prisons. That's the so-called hidden 64 years. Threw our people in prison, right? Male and female. And the children, they took their children before the children was conscious of their parents, could be told anything, and they raised them up as Negroes, as slaves, told them they was animals. How would they know the difference? See, you're black just like the ape, even though the apes, that's their hair color. You shave an ape, he's white. I have to tell you, shave one. See? So, that's 64 years. And during 64 years, right, as the story of Joseph, right, they was turning everything to shit. And the whole thing was collapsing. The whole economy and everything was collapsing. So they said, well, how are we going to solve this? The king said, I don't know what we're going to do. I mean, the whole economy is about to collapse. Oh, there's Joseph over there. So Joseph came and told him what to do, how to save the economy, how to build, how to set up everything, how to put everything together. So he gave him charge. See? He got everything together for them, straightened out for him. So they took his knowledge, and then how to repay him. See? They took his knowledge, they took all his children, his descendants, and imprisoned them. That's a true story, not that one Farrakhan is giving. He giving you the reverse story. See, because he's telling you that, oh, well, we Joseph, we're going to inherit America. That's not where the story went. See, then his children were thrown in bondage for 400 years. That's how he rewarded them. And they were supposed to serve Pharaoh because he realized their children had the same ability Joseph did. They were intelligent just like he were, and they knew how to do things, even though they imprisoned us, enslaved us, right? See, they didn't take our creativity away from us. They didn't take our nature away from us. And they used it. You say they didn't use our creativity? What you think if they tell you you have to make bricks, but now all of a sudden you can't use straw anymore? I mean, you got to be creative now, because you still got to make the bricks. Now you got to be creative. That's what the story is telling you. Okay, y'all can't have no straw anymore, but you still got to make the bricks. That's joy. You got to understand these stories. They're telling you, now you got to show your creativity. But you still got to build from us. If you build, it means you serving them. You building their side. If you're building, that means you're building what? Right? Their reality for them. We built their reality for them. They use our creativity. Because no other European country has the creativity and innovation they have in America. If they're they're so rich and so forward thinking and they're so superior, then how come this innovation they come out of Russia? How come they come out of Britain? How come they come out of France? How come they come out of Germany? Because all they're doing is copying what they got from here. Because they got us with gold and silver that's excess that says if we leave, right, it would take and plunder Egypt, plunder America, because they would be broke. Because we're fueling, right? We're fueling this place with our creativity. That's where they're getting it from. Take the rappers out there. See, they take our creativities and give us the shit. See, we turn shit to gold, right? And they turn gold to shit. Yeah, they take our gold and they give us the shit. So we eat the shit and they take the gold. Look all those people that got rich off the rappers. The rappers make all that money, but they was making the money, but they wasn't getting the money. They was getting to perform. But then managers, false Israel folks, they was going getting the money. They've been doing this ever since we've been here. All these inventions, that's why it started the idea of patents. So a slave could not take credit for anything they did because he was owned by master. So master, whatever you invented, whatever you came with, it came under the name of master. That's the story of Joseph. So you have to understand who Gog and Magog are and how they would come to end. Chapter 20, it gives you the history from the time they were thrown into the bottomless pit 1,500 years ago up until their end. That's what the true story is telling you. Okay. That's chapter 20. They don't want you to know that kind of stuff. But they tell you, it says, well, Satan, right? He goes forth to kill, steal, and destroy. Isn't that exactly what the Europeans did? Isn't that exactly what they did? They went to steal people's land. They stole Australia. They stole Canada. They stole America, right? They stole many countries in South America, right? The Caribbeans. They stole it, right? And then they kill, right? And destroy. Then they destroy the native population of America, of Guam, right? Of much of Australia, right? They killed every place they went. Did they do that? But so that's a clear statement, and that's exactly what they did under the banner of the cross. But they don't tell, oh no, we're God's chosen people. Yeah, they are. Satan, they said God. Jesus told you, yeah. When they say God, they have to be talking about Satan, because they say they said Satan is God of this world. So when they say God, they must be talking about Satan, because God. And if Satan, if America wasn't. If America wasn't serving Satan, in other words, if the so-called most powerful country in the world was not under Satan's rule, then what kind of God would he be? And how was we treated? Was we treated like angels, or we treated like devils? How was we treated when we came here? Did we get a beast treatment? They say if we walk like a duck, talk like a duck, it must be a duck. So how did they treat us? They treat us like they were angels? They say you know them by their works. All these things right there. These light switches all over. And so-called Christians out there, black Christians, listen your Bible. Read that part. They got you reading the part where you got love master. And that's what you're doing, because you're afraid of him. That's why you're wearing his name, his brand. Because you're afraid of him. You calling yourself Michelle Rickenbacker. Michelle Rickenbacker. And you supposed to be African descent? And that's your slave master's name. He didn't give it to you. If he gave it to you because he was one of you were one of his children, that is your name. But if he gave it to you, but otherwise, if you was a field Negro, you was given that name to identify you. You like you identify horse or cow to brand you, so they know that you belong to Rickenbacker. You Helen Rickenbacker, Jesse Rickenbacker. And if they changed, they took if they took and sold you to Master Rothschild, their name became Jason Rothschild, Helen Rothschild. So it was never meant to be a surname. It was meant to be ownership, evidence of ownership, like you brand a cow. You know, you have a cow, also that cow's name doesn't become Rothschild if it's owned by Rothschild. No, but you got to look on the brand. Oh, that's Rothschild's cow. See, that's Rothschild's nigger. And so you still walk around with those names. That means you still belong to them. Some of you are scared to death because you want to let them know, yeah, I'm still with you, boss. I'm still with you, master. Yeah, my name is Amos Rothschild. I still belong to, because that's what he's saying. Would you walk around with what they call those things, you know, billboard saying, I belong to Master Rothschild? Would you do that? Would you walk around with a billboard and say, I belong to Master Rothschild? Would you do that? Well, you are doing it. Because every time you say, my name is Amos Rothschild, that's what you're doing. You walk around a billboard, you might as well have a tattoo on your head. I belong to Mr. Rothschild, Master Rothschild. So we said that the European history, Greek, and all these great so-called kingdoms, there's predators. And these lives survived as long as they could take from other people. They couldn't take anymore. Their economy started collapsing because they couldn't produce anything themselves. Because they're ship makers. That's their nature. They was a stripped down version of us. It's their nature. They can't help it. It's no more a pig can help being a pig. That's why I call them swine, like I said. See, but we turn shit into gold. You know, the recycling. You see, because you drink, the sun takes your piss and cleans it up and returns it back to you in pure water. But you drink, and then you turn it back into piss. The sun takes it again, and you got recycling. See, you go out there and you release your solid waste, right? And that goes back in the ground, fertilized with the plant's life and everything else, used for them to take nutrition out of it, and they grow. That's recycling. Some of you don't understand that, but that's the way it works. It's a process of turning shit energy to positive energy, and positive energy back to shit energy. It's a recycle. It's back and forth. Positive energy and negative energy back to positive energy. That's recycling. That's the way the universe works. See? And so, Cavey discovered that, the Europeans discovered that. He said, well, shit, we're on the negative cycle part of that. See? We're the ones that turn, right, positive energy and negative energy. We're the ones that turn gold to shit. We're on the negative side of that thing. But we don't like shit. That's all we can produce. See? But those Negroes over there, they're on the positive side of that thing. They turn shit into gold. See, they keep the cycle going. It's recycling. So if we take and bring them over and put us together in a symbiotic relationship, then what will happen? That means now we can take they can take our shit, and we don't have to eat our shit anymore. Because we got control of them. We give them our shit to eat, and they turn to gold, and we eat the gold. See, we got the gold now. We got the steaks and the ribs and all of that, right? And the wine and stuff, right? And they give them back the shit, the shitlins. See, hogmaws, chitlins. We give them back the shit. See, they go out there and produce watermelons and apples and oranges and beef and all that stuff for us, right? And we give them the shit. So now we don't have to eat the shit no more. They do, right? But we eat the best because they produce that for us. That's what slavery was all about. You understand that? And it's still going on right now. That's why it says they did not want the children of Israel to leave. How come America hates us so much? Right? You think they love us? We're such a problem. How come they don't want us to leave? That's what they claim. We're such a problem. Because we're the goose that laid the golden egg. And they're the problem. They're the ones causing this shit all over the world. Even today, everywhere they go, they produce shit. They go in these countries, right? They invade them, and they're talking, how come everybody wants to come to America? How come? Because you just stay in that country, you got no place else to go. And they run it. You tear their countries apart and everything. And you say, oh man, look at all the mess. You destroy them. That's what you do. Everywhere you go, you bring mischief and shed blood, just havoc. You turn everything into shit. See? And these people number shit, and you take all their good from them. That's what you do. You take all the good and you leave the shit. That's what you've been doing to us. And that's why you don't want us to leave. You don't want to tell us that, because see, you tell the whole world that we're the shit makers. See? Because that's what you do. False Israelite. They're people, right? They control Hollywood, and they guys looking like clowns and fools and everything. Look, we the criminals. We the shit makers. See? Because they take the gold that we produce and they show the whole world. See? They claim it's theirs. Show us good stuff. And all the shit they produce, right, they put on us. We the clowns, we ignorant, we stupid. So they got the whole world thinking, see, as long as we here, they can always assign the shit that they do on us. Or we the ones causing the problem in America. We the ones that's criminals. We causing all these issues, right? Homelessness and crime. They try to put AIDS on us and everything else. See? But the gold we produce, they show it to the world. They claim that's theirs. See? That's the game they play. And Europe benefits. See? Because how did Europe got all this financial aid, everything from America? I mean, when they had World War II, right, America came to aid, and plus afterwards, right, so-called Marshall Plan. If Europe is so good, how come they didn't do it themselves? They depend on America. America lifts them up. If America goes, they go. If we leave America, America becomes bankrupt. See? Like this is, if we leave, America becomes plunder, because we're the gold and silver that the Exodus talks about. It's not talking about metals. And that means Europe will follow. Because everybody will see that they're the shit and we was the gold, because they don't want us to leave. Right? The same reason why they keep Haiti and Africa down. Because they don't want anybody to see that we're gold producers. Everybody perceives that we're the shit producers and they're the gold producers. That's the main reason why they keep Haiti down. On the same island as the Dominican Republic, on the same island. Yeah, also, but Haiti, for some reason, get all the earthquakes, all the hurricanes, all the tornadoes, all the natural disasters. Why? Dominican Republic on the same island, yet they're virtual paradise. All this is done for a reason, brothers and sisters. I can't go on, we could talk for days. I can tell all the stuff they're doing. And they got you in a slumber. They got you asleep. So they got you, right, in this belief matrix. See, in this fog. See, they got you in this fog. See. And most of you are scared to death until it's going to lead to your destruction. So that pretty much covers the basics of Europe. But then you look at some of these different things they have. And I want to talk to you about teaching your children. Because you cannot let your children be lost. And if you can, but see, most of it won't matter, because if you teach them at home, you're going to teach them the same thing the master taught them, and you even worse teacher than the master is. Because these masters might be curious, they might, ask questions, but when you do it, they accept it. Like this whole idea of evolution. And many of you buy it, and you let them teach your children that. And don't you know subliminally what you're doing to your children? See? The brain is made to calculate. And even though you're still using your analytical mind, you're still calculating. Your analytical mind calculates too. The whole evolution thing telling you that you're an animal. That's why you have a 3/5 of the human. It's telling you an animal. I'm going to go through it briefly, quickly. The whole idea of evolution is that you evolve from one stage to another. So you start out like amoeba, so something real small, microscopic animal, like they say. There's a whole lot, but it didn't work that way, right? And then you evolve to higher states. You go up the ladder. See, in other words, a fish is still a fish because it didn't evolve to something else. See, because everything evolves to something else. So you evolve. So you use a fish, and then the fish evolves to something else, right? But some of them didn't evolve, so they stayed a fish. They're still down that ladder. Everything you see right here that's not, the only thing that's evolving was at the top of the ladder. Anything down below that is still animal because it's not evolving anymore. You don't hear them telling you that birds are evolving anymore. You don't hear them tell you about dogs are evolving anymore. They're only saying that they're evolving because that means they're only at the top of the ladder. Those things still evolve. Everything else stopped evolving, so it's left behind. So you go back, you see a dog's never going to be anything but a dog. A cow's never going to be anything but a cow. Horse never going to be anything but a horse. They stopped evolving. See? But then there's those things evolved into an ape, right? And so now the ape evolved, right? They say ape, they're saying the ape evolved into us. So the apes, we see the apes there, they're still there, right? They didn't evolve anymore. So we evolved. So we evolved, right? We used to be apes. Now we evolved. We're not apes anymore because we evolved. You understand? You understand where I'm going with this? So then they tell you, oh yeah, well, we came from apes. See, they tell evolution they started this. So they don't want you to catch on too quick. Oh yeah, well see, we was all apes. But then apes evolved to black people. That means the apes stopped. Those still apes, they didn't evolve. They stopped. So something caused us to evolve to black people. See? And then what happened? Then some of the black people evolved to white people. And the people that are still black, they stop evolving. And that's their true definition of animal. We're not evolving anymore. Because now they evolved to white people, so they're on the top of the level. So we're not evolving anymore. And then eventually the white people, some of them are going to evolve to something else, and then the rest of the white people, they're not evolved anymore, it's left. You understand? When you understand that, you understand you don't be teaching your children that stupid evolution because you're telling your animals. So that's why I haven't took 3/5 of the human out of the Constitution, because you 3/5 of the human. I mean, if you look at an ape, I think say ape is 1/5 of a human because it has the same DNA to some extent. See, these are lies they're telling you that they're putting on you that they don't come out and tell you directly, but it's resting in your mind. Eventually you're going to, it's in your mind there. It's still part of your calculation that you might be aware of. See? So it means you're not evolving anymore. That means eventually at some point in time, those that are still evolving will look back at you like we look at the apes, and you'll be in a cage somewhere. They'll be evolving maybe a past speech, maybe they evolving in some telepathy thing or whatever, and we're still here. Right? Maybe they're involved in something to fly or something, who knows? But we'll still be here black. and won't be able to keep up with their super society. So we'll be in cages like the apes are in. That's what they're telling you. See? But you let your children, let them teach your children that, and you don't understand that's what they're telling them. They tell them they're inferior. Oh yeah, man, see, we was first. We was before, white folks came up, we was first, yeah. Well then, but evolution said that's not good, because it says, well, that's the case, where then we should celebrate the apes, because they was before us. Now they're in cages. I want to say one more thing before I go into what I want to talk about in mathematics. See, demons. See, we're spatial and analytical. Totally analytical. They was totally, they couldn't communicate with us. They'd have a bridge, and that's what the whole idea of demons. See, they tell you they don't know, and they're oh man, everything is invisible. They tell you to believe in all this. Religions, all of them is bullshit, because none can prove anything. None prove anything that say it's true, right? But your whole reality, you don't see anything that religion has produced. There's not a Catholic car. There's not a Baptist plane. There's not a Hindu a bomb, right? Because none of them produce anything. That means I'll touch this reality. So what is this spiritual reality out there that you can't see nothing and know anything about? See. The only way you can communicate with it is through prayer. And by prayer, you control, you get things from it. See? That's bullshit too. See? Because they tell you, whoa, like this woman talking about, oh man, I pray that God would give my son justice. Well, I mean, well, if God was with him, why he had got killed to begin with? I mean, I pray for a BMW. Why not pray for the whole damn factory? Why not pay for $1 billion? Because it's all bullshit. And do you get every time you pray, does it get answered? My prayers answered. Well, if your car already started sometime and didn't start, you never could tell how long you keep that car. Would you depend on that car? Would you have any confidence in it? See? Oh, I prayed and I got to be. How you know you're going to get that BMW anyway? Oh man, I was thankful to God that I survived the accident. Well, if God was on case, right, on point, why you had the accident to begin with? It's all bullshit. They know it's bullshit. Anyway, so what I want to say, they had the demons, and that's their children, their seed, through rape. Because see. They're somewhat ambidextrous, see, because they got that analytical mind, but they still got a little more spatial because, that mixture. And so now they communicate with us, and they're the ones that they use, right, that rob us from our gold. They're the ones that use to rob us of our gold and feed us to shit. They did it while it was in chain slavery. They did it while it was in chain slavery, right? See, the house Negroes. House Negroes, see, the preachers, love master no matter what he does. The worse the more evil, the better you be to him, the more you love him. Work for him. Don't ask for anything. Otherwise you're going to piss off that white master in the sky, and you're going to put your ass, you're going to burn your ass to hell for never, never, never. But if you do a good job, master down here, when you get up there, then, master's going to take care of you after you die. It's all bullshit. That's preached, and they still tell you that today. They still tell you the same thing today. They ain't telling about the promised land. They ain't telling about that. And the one that stood up and tried to say something about it, they killed him the next day, told Martin Luther King, MLK, not to give that speech. He gave it, and next day he was dead. So that's what demons are. And the angel tell us, Book of Revelation tells half the black in America are demons. They spread demons all over the world, but we got the worst of it. It says half of our black people are demons because they unrestrained, relentless rape. For 400 years, they had total control of the women. We had no control, right? And they maintained the right to break in virgins, so to speak, and you couldn't touch a woman. And all that stuff they tell you that you had time. No, you had no spare time. They watch you 24/7, and you only got a black woman as a reward unless you was a stud. They used to make more, just to produce more babies, or because you got them as a reward, an incentive to pick more cotton, see, or pick more tobacco. So if you went high in your quota, you was promised, oh, well, if you got to do 5 a week, right, or 5 a day, but if you do 7, you sleep with Sarah on the weekend. And there's so 2 or 3 or 4 you did more 7, all you slept with. That's where the whole idea of trains come in. Training on sleep, rape, that's what pretty much. That's the only time you had any time. If y'all watched the movie Django, remember, he got that as reward for killing another Negro. They ain't tell you the whole truth about that. They didn't want to sleep with him. You didn't marry him. That's why they jump over a broom. You didn't sleep with him either. Right? At night they locked you up. They separated women and the males and the females, unless somehow they want the males to try to pregnate, in those cases as incentive. Otherwise, they kept them separated because that was a sin to keep you working. Work hard. They kept the male and the female separated and that locked them up. So you didn't have access to the black woman. So as a consequence of that, we had over half of black folks in America are massive seed. They was ones in the house. They was the role models back there. Because they would tell you, hey, see, because they wore better clothes, they had better food and everything else. See? And they say, oh, see, if you be like Denzel, see, you'd be like Jay-Z, see, like DeBron, right? See, if you work hard, you'd be like them. See, so that was the thing. The women, the women that incentive and the promise of getting in the master's house, if you worked hard, they know you was never gonna get in the master's house. They never gonna let you there because they couldn't trust you. They can trust their own children. They couldn't trust you. Only problem children had is that masters still call them niggas, but they still had it better than you did. That was yours, and they still today. Oh man, you can be like Oprah. See. You can be like Denzel. See? You can be like Condoleezza, Colin Powell, all demons. And they got you getting hypertension, everything else trying to be. You ain't gonna never be like them. Those role models still going on today. They get you to try to be like them, they keep you going on the American dream while it's still your goal, and they had them using it. Still, because they come around, you commit, you get your ideas, they run back to Massa. They tell Massa everything you're doing. Believe me, they report to you. I know, I've seen them do it. They report everything you do to Massa. Because that's who they are. That's where they were back then. And the preachers, that's what they do. They make you stay on the plantation. Because the better Massa has it, the better they have it. It's like a dog. See, the master's poor, he scraps. Master get a little more money, he dog food. A little more money, he might get leftover from, he might get some ham or something. If he's rich enough, he may eat steak. That's the truth of it, brother and sister. They're not going to tell you that. Okay, I'm going to cover a couple more things, and then we're going to. Okay, what I'm going to do is we're going to take a short break here, brothers and sisters, just short, then I'm going to continue. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. Okay, couple more things. When they took the chains off of you, they found out that money could chain you better than any chain, any steel, iron chains that they could ever come up with. Money. You don't understand money. None of us understand money. See? Because you can't buy or sell anything unless you got money. And the only way you're going to get money, you have to serve them. See? And they control what you do with that money, what you can buy with it. And on an international stage, right, you can't buy or sell anything unless you do what America and Gog and Magog want you to do. They call it sanctions. See, that's chapter 13. That's chapter 666. Chapter 13. Because that's who they are. That's Gog, Magog, and false Israel. Because false Israel is the one that's the image. He says image. Image of what? Image of the beast that was wounded by the sword. That means it was three beasts there. One that was wounded by death. That death represents Japan, basically, and that was America. But his wound was healed. Then you got one wounded by the sword, right? That was Britain that was wounded by India, but they lost India, right? That was their last big dominion, and they lost that, and they didn't survive that. The empire collapsed right after that. But America, when they got wounded by Japan in World War II, they became even greater afterwards. They was healed and became greater. And then it says the image of the beast of the one that was the image of the beast that was wounded by the sword. That means talking about false Israel, because their government is modeled right after the British Empire. That's what it means. Their image of the British government. The false Israel government is an image of the British government. That's what it means. But it says they would get all their power and everything, right? Their riches and their breath and everything from the beast that was wounded by death. That's America. America supports them economically and everything. It's right there in chapter 13. And it says if you don't obey them or you have a problem with the image of the beast, the false Israel, they will not allow you to buy or sell, or they'll push you to destruction. That's exactly what's going on. If you got a problem with false Israel, you end up getting sanctioned or you get invaded. The scripture's right there, brothers and sisters. That's 666 mark they're talking about. It's not actual tattoo. But they wanted to confuse you. Oh man, we're going to get this mark. The Antichrist is coming. The Antichrist is here. The Antichrist has been here since 1948. That's false Israel. And if you disobey, you go against them, you get sanctioned. You won't be able to buy or sell. If you go against America, you won't be able to buy or sell. If you're a citizen or whatever, they'll force you to destruction here. You end up in prison somewhere. Can't get a job or anything, because you got to work for them to get money. It's right clear, brothers and sisters. So if you want to be confused, continue to be confused. See? Because I'm not going to get myself worked up over people that just want to be confused when there's light switches everywhere. And if plus they got a little audio device, want to say, here's the light switch, and right here, and you got all over the place, or you got to just flip one on. And even when you flip it on, you close your eyes. Even if somebody flip it on, you close your eyes so you still can't see. Because and I'm Rick Applebomber. Okay. So that plays. You've been warned about that name thing. Elijah Muhammad warned you, Scripture warned you, and I've warned you. See, because your name won't be in the Lamb's Book of Life if you come with that name. It's associated with you any kind of way. See, a little hint here. You know, how you think we're going to distinguish between the demons and I'll leave it like that. See, so money. That's how powerful money is. That's what's talking about chapter 13. You won't be able to buy or sell anything. So they have more control of you with money than they didn't have when you had it in chains. See? Because you do exactly what they tell you to do. And when you go on these jobs, right, is that a democracy? When you go on jobs, the boss is the king. He's a tyrant. He do whatever, and you do whatever he tells you to do, right? So where's all this democracy? How much time do you spend all this freedom and claim that you have? How much time do you spend enjoying it? When you work at least 5 days a week, 9 to 5, and you put like 10, 11, 12 hours a day anyway, because you got time, you got to take a lunch break. That's 9 hours right there, right? And then you got to take time to get there and time to get back home. They got preparation. So what time you do all that? How much time you got all this so-called freedom and claim that you have? Then all the other stuff you got to take care of, bills and all that stuff you got to take care of. Stuff that, all other stuff, side stuff you got to take to be a citizen. So how much time you got this for all the so-called freedom and democracy that you're supposed to have had, they took away from you when you was back on the continent of Africa, when you had true freedom, when you wasn't working 9 to 5, everybody was working together. You always your family, your children was always with you, right? So you're with your children 24/7, your family, all your relatives 24/7. Y'all ate together, y'all worked together. And wasn't nobody oppressing you. So where was the freedom at? Light switches everywhere, brothers and sisters, everywhere. So that's the main thing. Then one more thing, like I said, before I get into this other issue, I really want to get into music. See, the Democratic Party, they're the best at it. They play your music, you love it. See, but you got two sides of music. You got the music and you got the lyrics. You all hung up on the music and you ain't paying attention to the lyrics. You're all involved in music, but you're not paying attention to the lyrics. Like some of these sisters, man, they out there and they jamming and shaking their ass and everything else, man. They partying. And the guys talking about, man, you hoe, you bitch, you suck this and all that. And they ain't paying attention to that. They're off into the music. Because the lyrics are deadly. What's the lyrics of the Democratic Party? Abortion, sending jobs overseas, 3-strike law, we stay in jail forever, prisons, private prisons, mass incarceration. I mentioned abortion, and all these, that's their lyrics. See? But they give you the swan song, and you born with it, but you ain't paying attention to their lyrics. And that goes twice with Farrakhan. See, he's giving you Elijah Muhammad's song. I mean, he's giving you his music. Oh, Mr. Black Man, how you live for America. I said, he's giving you, you wear the uniform, all that kind of stuff. Read the NOI. He's giving you the music, right? But he ain't giving you Elijah Muhammad's song. He's not giving his lyrics. See? Because lyrics, right? What's the lyrics? Sunniism, Scientology, we ain't going nowhere. In other words, he abrogated everything they did, Elijah Muhammad and Master Muhammad did about the Promised Land. Because that's when Master Muhammad came here to go to prepare us to go back home. He said, you will not return until you get thorough knowledge of yourself. In other words, we got to get out of this bullshit because we're not going back home Nancy Applebaum. Pure cute butt. We ain't going back home like that. See? And he says, this is the worst part of planet Earth. That's not what Farrakhan telling you. We want to stay here. We ain't going nowhere. He said the best part of planet Earth is over in Arabia. That's that reserved for ourselves. See, he ain't teaching nothing. You just read the lessons. He says the devil's impossible to live with, so he decided to take him on the planet. He said, no, he's going to redeem him. And he's going to bring him to NOI. And it's just a slight reading of what Elijah Muhammad taught and what Master Muhammad taught, and you can't anyway say that had anything to do with Farrakhan. He's giving you Master's lyrics, but he's giving you Elijah Muhammad's music. So you got, I'm FYI and all this stuff, right? And you're singing Master's song. See? Because he's against every. Right? Elijah Muhammad said we'd be fools to want to stay in the land of our imprisonment. I got to take to say it. It's not no script. It's what he's actually talking, his voice. But Pharaoh said we ain't going nowhere. See? That's the music. And I was like I said, he's playing Elijah Muhammad's music. Right? But he ain't singing Elijah Muhammad's song. He ain't giving you Elijah Muhammad's lyrics, the Master's lyrics. Scientology. Devils ain't devils anymore. Devils ain't no eye. You're going to see in a minute, brothers and sisters. So now I want to get into my main topic. I mean, Gog Magog is the main topic, but this is very, all of it is important. Okay, I'm a mathematician. So I went out there on YouTube and saw some of that. See, it's all bullshit they put out there. But they tell you that's mathematics. Like I told you about evolution. That's a big lie. Now here, my granddaughters were staying with us for a while. And I'm, doing this so-called plague, and she's working from home in school. And I'm looking at the mathematics giving them. I'm out there saying, I couldn't hardly figure out what you're doing yourself because they're confusing your children. She had a problem. She had to figure out all these different numbers, like 5 times 3 plus divide by all this kind of stuff, and equal come out and get 12. So you couldn't figure out how you got to 12. I'm looking at this. Why don't you try to put brackets around so you know what, if you multiply this and you divide by this, whatever. All you got to do is simple doing that. But then I tell them because they're confusing the children. They're confusing the children. And I can't tell you to bring them home and let you teach them because a lot of you going to teach them worse in this day because you tell them the same thing, master. And so therefore it's going to penetrate because they got it from you. So it's going to get deeper into their mind, right? Because they got it from you because they're going to trust you and all you, because that's what master did. That's why he set the demons and everything up, right? See? So now he lets you, he done brainwash you, right? See, he done taught you his lyrics, so now he don't have to brainwash children anymore. He give them Christianity and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to do it because you give it to them now, so now it's going to get through because they got it from mom and dad. But where did mom and dad get it from? See, they brainwashed mom and dad, and so now they can easily brainwash the children because it might have been hard to brainwash mom and dad because they said, man, I'm going to resist this because I know it's coming from my enemy. But once they finally brainwashed, you're not going to resist because it's coming from mom and dad. Here's people come up, all evil they've done, and you're going to tell me that they worship a loving, godly God, loving, righteous God, when all the works they did with murder, rape, genocide on the banner of the cross? You want to tell me that was this so-called Jesus they was worshiping? If that's the case, what problem they got with Satan? So if Satan had came here instead of Columbus, and Satan and Dracula and Wolfman and Beelzebub, all of them came here instead of Columbus and his horde, what could they have done that Columbus and his horde didn't do? Better wake up, you better get real. Talking about getting real, you better get real quick. Because your life, your life depends on it. But you're going to see it in a few more days. But some of you ain't going to see it in a few more days because you're not going to be around. So that's why I'm talking about this mathematics thing. Now I'm going to talk a couple of things. It's going to be a little complicated here, so just follow me if you can. See, they said Joseph would be taught the meaning of sayings. They're talking about suing but I'm not going into detail about that. But they tell you things like, power corrupts, right? But what do you call it? Power corrupts, but ultimate power. What's the word to use? Anyway, they say if you got all power, then you corrupt absolute power. Okay, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. See, power corrupts, but absolute power corrupts absolutely. So in other words, if you got absolute power, you corrupt. You totally corrupt. So you have people repeating that stuff. You know what they say God's corrupt because who got absolute power? They telling you God's corrupt. They got all kinds of ways of telling you that God is nothing. He's corrupt. He's no good. And they telling you, and you got to repeat this stuff just like through evolution. They got you in evolution calling yourself an animal. You don't even realize it. See. So I was watching this thing, and they talking about these scientists and all this stuff. I'm saying this is bullshit, right? Because one statement the guy made was what he said. He says everything that's true cannot be proven. What? Everything that's true cannot be proven. Then how the hell you know it's true? You see, that don't make it. But this one is super mathematicians that they based their math on. He said the guy that was the father's of computers or whatever. He meant everything that's true cannot be proven. Then how the hell you know it's true? That statement itself is corrupt. It's meaningless. Then he says he can prove that statement is true. But in order to prove that statement is true, he had to prove that he know to prove the truth, whether it's truth or not. How do you know if something's true or not if you can't prove it? But you don't understand where that's coming from. See, because when they get that into your mind, see, you got children go to school and they get these bastard master's degrees and all kind of stuff. They get that stuff, and you know what that's telling them? You know what that's telling them? You know what that statement's telling you? Right? That all this Christianity stuff is true. Just because you can't prove it, that don't mean it's not true. Just because you can't prove it, that don't mean it's not true. Now, what kind of bullshit is that? Just because you can't prove it, because you can't prove any of it. See, they try to sell you religion mathematically. They're telling you, well, just because you can't prove it, that don't mean it's not true. No, that's not quite what they're saying. They said everything that's true, just because it's true, everything that can't be proven. Let me put it right now. He says everything that's true doesn't have to be proven. No, that's not what he's saying. I'm not saying get it right. He says, I said it right the first time. He says, just because something is true, that doesn't mean it can be proven. See? So if you can't prove it, how you know it's true? Everything that's true, can't be proven. Just because. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say here, brothers and sisters. That statement they're making. See? So he's not saying just because you can't prove it. He's saying if it cannot be proven mathematically, that don't mean it's not true. So how do you know it's true then, if you can't prove it? This is a mathematician now. See? So that justifies mathematically the fact that you don't have to, you can't prove angels, you can't prove God, but that doesn't mean it's not true. Well, that may be true also, right? But they say because it can't be proven. See, that's a different statement. Because you can't prove it, I go along with that one, right? But he said, what he's saying is it can't be proven. I mean, you can't prove it mathematically, but that means it still can be true. So maybe I should say it that way, because that's what he's saying. If it can't be proven in other words, it's not that you can't do it, it's just it can't be proven mathematically. If it can't be proven mathematically, that don't mean it's not true. That's bullshit. Because if it can't be proven mathematically, that means, right? Not that because you can't, because a lot of things we can't. That don't, we know the sun exists, but you might not have the mathematics to prove it. But you might not have. But there's mathematics that will prove it. But he said if there's no mathematics that can prove it, that don't mean it's not true. That's one of the things. See, so I'm not going to go too much detail with this, right? But I just want to point out a couple of things like that. There's things they say, and their mathematics is based on this kind of stuff, this kind of ignorance, right? Then the guy says, well, he want to use an example. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. And then he says, see, that's a show how everything's inconsistent. You can't prove everything. Wait, hold it. That's not a true statement. Enemy of my enemy don't necessarily have to be my friend. He could be. But an enemy of my enemy still could be my enemy. You see, but they make that as they built a contradiction into the statement. And then they built the contradiction into the premise, and then they say, oh, see, and then they build a whole contradictory thing about it. So see how this is all wrong. Because they built a contradiction into it. So I just thought I'd mention that. I don't think I'm going too far with that because I think I'm probably losing a lot of people here. I'm not trying to be condescending, but I like some mathematician, and I know what they're saying is BS. Like one thing, he says, well, they're gonna prove infinity. They're gonna prove that one infinity is greater than another infinity. But the definition of infinity means it has no size. See, that's the definition. But he can build a definition into something that doesn't have a definition. Because they say, well, if you take all the fractions, all the decimal point numbers like 0.0, whatever, everyone here is in existence. And then you add up take all the numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's going to be more of these fractions because this is an infinite amount of fractions, right? And there's an infinite amount of 1, 2, 3, keep going further. You want to add 1 to it. They say, well, they can prove that this infinity is greater than that infinity. I said, that's bullshit because you can't. Because infinity means, because no matter, every time, if you're going to catalog these things, every time you come to fraction, you say, okay, that's the fraction number 1, fraction number 2. You keep on going, you go forever. There's no, infinity means it's without end. So there's no different levels of infinity. But see, they say that stuff and they get away with it. And he gave all this stuff, and I'm watching all this stuff. I said, yeah, okay, you feel your head, you feel other, he feel that bullshit, you don't feel mine with it. And this is kind of stuff, this so-called set theory and all stuff they teaching kids is confusing the children. They start 1 + 1 = 2. They say, they show you, they got a whole book that took 40 pages just to prove that 1 + 1 is 2. Come on, give me a break. And that's what they're giving these children, and they're confusing them. See, first they exercise the analytical brain, because the spatial brain will see through that right away. The spatial mind will see right through that right away. So I'm just saying, I don't know what to tell you, brothers and sisters. I don't know what to tell you. See, because if you leave them in the schools, that's why they're so messed up. And plus, they can't relate to what they've been taught anyway. I give you an example. You take a Jewish kid. He's in school. He's taking mathematics. He sees his father at home, and his father's a broker. He's making all this money with mathematics. Then yeah, he's interested because hey, that's what Pop's doing, and he's seeing he's getting something out of it. So he's gonna see he can apply it. It's relevant to him. Like if he saw his father go out there hunting, he come back with all this food, then he said, yeah, that's how I'm gonna learn that so I can see. But a black kid go in there, he's teaching calculus and all that kind of stuff. So what the hell am I gonna do with this stuff? What am I gonna do with this stuff? I'm gonna count how many bricks in my public housing. So it's not relevant to him. So he's not interested in it. So he's not going to learn it unless he just special want to learn. You know, I mean, I just want to learn mathematics. So I was different, but I understood what's going on. So it's not relevant to him. See, aside from the fact they teach them analytically anyway when their mind is just strengthened spatially, but they teach stuff that's irrelevant. And aside from the confusing crap I just talked about. So you leave them in school, then you wonder why they're not doing that well. It's not they ain't smart, because our children are much smarter than theirs, but their brain side of the brain, in other words, if all your children are right-handed, but they play in a sport that you have to be left-handed, they're going to be at a disadvantage. The people's left-handers are going to be more better than them because they use their right hand, but now they got to force you to left hand. So you're right brain, but they force you to the left brain, which is very limited, but your right brain is almost infinite. And so they force you to use the side that's best for them because they're analytical. That's why you got Farrakhan line factor. We got to start thinking analytically. Bullshit. We got to start thinking spatially. That's our true mind. He thinks analytically. That's why it makes sense to him. See, so if you leave them in there, if they got a problem, you bring them home, they got a problem, because then you teach them the same damn stupid stuff. But now they're going to really take it in now. They're going to absorb it now because it comes from mom and dad. So I don't know what to tell you, brothers and sisters. We got a problem, but it's about to be broken. We're about to break this cycle up. Remember this symbiotic cycle? Where we producing the gold, and they producing the shit, but we eating the shit, and they enjoying the gold? That's about to be breaking up. Only solution now is being separate. The only solution to all these problems is to be separated from them. Then we build a paradise of gold while they sitting in hell of shit. That's why you have the two paradises, not two paradises, but you have two conditions hereafter. You understand? See, we not go so much on. We're gonna push them into hell, but they're gonna make the hell. This say we're gonna make it. Well, we push them back in the dark age like they were back in Europe. We're gonna push them far north in Europe as possible. That's where the hell is going to be. And we're going to leave them. That's what it said. Then they're going to be abandoned. That's what the Quran said. Abandoned, right? Because when they're abandoned, they're going to do what they do. Shit makers. They're going to turn into the hell that the only thing they can do. Without us, they're turning back into gold for them. But we're going to be in Paris turning shit that are made of the world back into gold. Don't you understand? They're going to create their own. When you leave them alone, they're going to create the hell. Just like you leave a pig alone, they're going to make slop. They're going to create their own hell for them. We're not abusive, tyrannical people. We're going to leave them alone. Say we're going to be abandoned, let them leave them to themselves. They're going to make the hell. They're going to make the hell for themselves. We ain't going to sit around and be tormenting them and everything else. We're just going to leave them, abandon them up there and let them. And the thing is that I can say this now. I've been holding back for a long time. But see, those Palestinians down there, they've been prepared for that. Because they've been oppressed for 70-some years. It says they're going to have strong guards. They're going to be the guards. To keep them up there and make sure they don't get out. It's beautiful when you get it together, brothers and sisters. They the only ones keep them up there, and they ain't gonna have no mercy on them. See, they're preparing their gods right now over in the Middle East. They're preparing them. They're gonna keep them locked up in there, and they're gonna make their own hell for themselves, because that's all they do. They ain't gonna have us no more to turn their shit into gold. They got to make their shit, and they're gonna eat their shit. And we make our gold, we're gonna enjoy our gold. That's what it's all about, brothers and sisters. Hope you understand. See? Separate. So we break up all this BS by evolution. We get away from these damn demons. See? Because they serve Master's program. See? Get away from all these people. Came to steal, kill, and destroy. They push up there. Now they can kill and destroy themselves. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. They're the shit makers. See? We're the gold makers. Now we separate. Now we have a kingdom based on gold and silver, and they have a kingdom based on shit and hell, because that's all they can produce, and now they're up there abandoned. And that's the last thing they want to do, because they're banned. What they're going to do? What they did back when they was back in Europe. See? Only reason Spain didn't go through so much of it. Why? Because they had the Arabs, they had the Moors there, the blacks from what they call from Morocco, Northwest Africa. See, they controlled it. That's why they didn't suffer the worst of it. The rest of them, right? They ain't have nobody. So they shit for 4,000 years. Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. I think that's pretty much it. Did I cover everything here? History of Gog and Magog. See? Oh, I'm going to say one last thing about the Gog and Magog. See? They was empowered by positive energy because of energy deprivation. I've talked about that. So they didn't have the things. Everybody has the same amount of energy, but they didn't require as much as we did. They was like a stripped down version of us. So we was like a Lamborghini. We didn't have enough energy to maintain ourselves. But they says they were stripped down version. They had enough to maintain themselves and their civilization. That's why it says Adam was given rule. See? But they turned that energy because they was controlling everything. They was everything they do worked out. See, because they was lucky. And you go to Las Vegas, if you're lucky, you can do all kinds of dumb stuff and you still make money, still win. You see, because you're lucky. You can't beat luck. They was lucky, but they took it as wisdom. They interpreted it as wisdom. Oh man, see, we got everything under control. Everything's good. That was luck. That Dr. Yaku gave them. He created them with luck, not with wisdom. But now their luck has run out. And they think, they think, they still got, what they think his wisdom was luck. So now they're getting ready to go on about their lives with no luck and with their fake wisdom. How do you think that's going to turn out? When all their strategies and the tactics and stuff don't work? Because they thought it was wisdom, when it was all luck. You see everything turned against them. Everything they've been done has been backfiring on for the last several years, especially the last two years. Everything that was backfiring on them. They can't understand why is this not working. Look at America. Oh, I can't understand why it's going on. See, because the luck is gone, and their wisdom is not working. Nothing's working anymore because it wasn't wisdom beginning with. It was luck all the time, and that luck is gone. Hope you understand that, brothers and sisters. So why do you think it will happen when water breaks, so to speak? When the mass fire takes down falls Israel in a few more days, abomination of desolation. That's going to be water. When water breaks, everything happens right after that, using that analogy. So which thing happened then? Now they're going to war of their lives. Everybody's going to turn against them. Everybody, all the nations. And they think they got power, the nuclear power France are done, because they said, Master Muhammad said those so-called UFOs, they run all their nuclear sites. Why do you think they run nuclear sites? They're just arming them. It says when they go to pull that plug, squeeze the trigger, it'll be blanks. And all their enemies, the goat, China, and everybody's closing on them. Right? And they got all these ideas that they're going, and they found that they don't work because their luck is gone. Which thing could be like? Time of unprecedented trouble. They're going to be eating their own children. Make children regret it. Said nothing's going to work. So that strong man will be hiding up in the alleys, holding their groans like women. Because all that stuff they thought would work, none is going to work. No strat, everything, in other words, put it this way, all they're going to have is bad luck. It says they're going to run away from the lion and run to the bear. They escape the bear and run into a snake. See? That's what's happening in America right now, and it's going to be on steroids in a minute. See? All that good luck they had for the last 6,000 years, now it's bad luck. They have no luck. It's bad luck now. Everything they do is going to turn again. Time unprecedented trouble. See? But now for you, brothers and sisters, you have out. But Farrakhan, the lion Farrakhan, he's with them. He's allowed to run out too. He's trying to convince you that you only got no choice. So that means you got to stay here with Master. You got to go with Master's dream, your American dream, and start trying to get you to think you have no choice. You have a choice. Master Muhammad came to give you that choice. He gave the last Muhammad 40-some years to broadcast that choice to you, and brought the message of covenant myself to make you realize, right, that choice, get you back home. You have a choice. Promised land. Arabia is our land. Abrahamic covenant, you have a choice. Everyone think you don't have a choice. See? You have a choice, brothers and sisters. I'm here to make sure you realize that choice. That's if you want it. If you don't want it, we're not going to force it on you. Assalamu alaikum.